I'm just curious, what's your take on like skill-based matchmaking? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, my honest thoughts are that you need to get good. My
We are back with the podcast, of course, with this is the third time I brought this man on my podcast because he's one of my all-time favorite people. Lumi FGC, Luminous dot gaming, Luminous the GOAT. How you've had quite the journey this year. So let's start off with how are you feeling? How you doing? And how do you feel this year's been treating you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing better. Actually, it was fall's here now. Seasons are changing, and usually when seasons change, you start to think of like the past a bit. You start to think about like maybe, oh, what the heck did I do this year? Because how many months do we have until 2023? It's not long.
Mm-hmm.
It's right around the corner, which is a little scary, admittingly, but like it's good. I had a blast this year. Like I wasn't really a part of like the FGC like at all, essentially, until like last year. It's been pretty much up on a year that I would like give myself like the time I like quote unquote joined. It could be different for other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's like when I sort of like found you guys and finally found like a bit of like kinship and sort of like a little bit of brotherhood with like, you know, some friends and honestly just amassed like a bit of a community just via fighting games. I think that's one of the best ways to explore fighting games as well. It's just like having a friend group that plays it. It's like the best thing to do.
Oh, it really is. Like, I always like feel bad for people that say, I love this game, but no one wants to play with me. I'm like, you're looking in the wrong areas. There's always people to play with. Like, but it really does hit harder when you find people you want to play with. You know what I mean? Like, I could go right now. Like you and I play Bloody Roar all the time. I'd rather play Bloody Roar with you. You know what I mean? Because you and me kind of like are close to the same level right now, even though I'm a little bit better. And going into the Discord and like trying to find people with matches there. Like the problem is some of the guys there are like the pros of Bloody Roar. So like I'm going to get washed against them and I'm not going to have any fun whatsoever. But I may learn something here and there, but I'd rather play with you because I feel like there's a nice back and forth when we go at it. So that's where you're at there. What else is going on? Let's. I want to talk about some of the Lumi wins this year because you've had a few good wins this year. Let's hear about the Lumi wins.
Well, let's see. In a year, I've joined 3 editing teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving one currently, on good terms though. And I mean, some of the biggest names in the fighting game community, I'm like sort of helping guide on TikTok on this platform. And honestly, I've almost become a unironically like a TikTok ambassador for some people
Really?
that don't necessarily see the value in it. I suppose they're like, what is all these kids dancing? What does that have to do with fighting games?
Mm-hmm.
I have to go in there and be like, wait, there's more. Like, you know, just
wait.
But yeah, I've like picked up a skill. I think like that's one of the best things you can do, I guess, especially in my age now. There's a lot of like early 20-year-olds feel kind of lost, especially with like the recent sort of like pandemic and stuff like that. And
for sure,
even if you went to school to study something, it may not be something that you like. And I realized that I do enjoy editing videos, as weird as that sounds. I mean, it's a labor of love. I still hate it sometimes because, you know, it's very tedious and it is work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not something you can escape necessarily. But I found out some interesting revelations, and I honestly just started getting to work on Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm like pretty decently proficient with that, and I just have been having a blast trying to figure out how to editing for people, figuring out like the business side of that, how to price myself. All of that stuff was like, if you ask like 2020 Justin, like, hey, what do you see yourself editing for, like, I don't know, like Justin Wong or like Kizzy K in the next like 2 years? I'd be like, no, like, are you dumb? Like, no, I'll be working a 9 to 5 or something like that. So it's really cool to see that kind of, I guess, growth. But I've noticed now specifically that I've been working for a lot of people, but not for myself specifically.
Okay.
So that's this month's revelation. I tend to have some sort of groundbreaking revelation as I do every month, and this one is I need to work for myself more than I work for other people, because I don't do that. Being an editor is a very, and I think I frame myself as a content creator first and foremost. I just want to say that,
Sure.
right? But it is very clear and obvious that when a lot of people see my name, they immediately go, "Oh, the editor, like Lumi, he's an editor," stuff like that. And as much as you are putting your heart and your soul into these edits, and it may not necessarily be the most lucrative work or the most groundbreaking or artistic, you're still putting in a decent amount of time into it, and you're still taking care, and you want to make sure that your clients are doing well. But it's not work for you; it's work for them,
Sure.
right? You're working for them, and at the end of the day, when you see a clip by a client, you're not going to go, "Lumi's editing there, sick," unless if like who I am personally. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be like, "That guy did an awesome clip. That was cool. I'm gonna follow that guy because that guy did an awesome thing in a video game."
Mhm.
But yeah, I just realized after a while that it's like you have to be a bit selfless when you do want to do editing, and I realized that as selfless as I can be, I also still want to I guess work for myself and build up basically my own brand in a
Mhm.
sense.
Well, what's the future of the Lumi brand looking like then?
Uh, I'm gonna honestly just a dartboard. I'll
Yeah.
dartboard it. Honestly, I think
Real
it's
talk, that is a
yeah.
brilliant idea that more people should do. Like, because honestly, that's not far off. When I first started doing TikToks, that's not far off what I was doing. I was like, took one random idea and then I'm like, okay, let me run with it. And that I found a couple series that worked, and that's where I'm at now. So that's actually really good sound advice, Lumi.
Thanks. Yeah, that's something that I realized. I was like, you're an ideas guy. I have like like a notepad on my phone, like filled with ideas, and I'm like, pick one and commit. Just
Mm-hmm.
commit. That's all you need to do. Like, pick one and commit. And after a while, see what works and what doesn't work, because you're in a stage not only in life but in content creation in which you get to just do that,
Mm-hmm.
like, and with no consequences essentially.
Yeah.
Right, unless if you make something terrible, but I don't plan on doing that, so
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So
But yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm excited to see whatever comes down the line for your stuff. Like, I've always been a fan of your stuff. I think it's been a wild journey for us as friends. Like where would we be like with like this time last year? You and I were just like in Discord calls every day discussing what we were gonna do. Like, what can
Yeah.
we do next? And now, man, we're both like working in the industry already. It's been a wild, and within 1 year, it's wild what's happened. Like, you're working with Justin Wong. That's absolutely like something you should be 100% proud of. The fact that
Yeah.
you're already there. Like, I'm working like in the video game industry. That's something I've been wanting to do since I was a little kid. It's actually wild that I was able to get to that point. So, but yeah, this is a fighting game podcast. I know we've talked mainly about our goals and stuff like that,
Sure.
but I want to hear about you, because you've been mentioning something every time I talk to you. You keep on mentioning something that you kind of hate fighting games right now.
Sure.
Can
Sure.
you please explain your journey to platinum in Street Fighter 5? Could you do that for me, Louis?
Uh-huh. I can. Admittingly, it might sound a little sloppy. Let's break this down into levels, right?
Okay, let's do it.
So when you're approaching Street Fighter 5 specifically, I wanted to play ranked and just see where I'm at. Because at first, when I started Street Fighter 5, I was like kind of aimlessly lost when it came to fighting games. I was like, I don't really like Strive. I don't like Guilty Gear Strive. I don't really like, maybe King of Fighters I'll try. And I was like, it's not, it didn't like immediately catch me, right? Like immediately. Street Fighter did that for me. And as soon as it did that, I was like, I need to play this. Like, I need to, like, I want to log on. I want to play this. I want to get good. That was the first time. And I am a arguably competitive person. I think most people in the fighting game community are. But that was the first time I had like a fire under my butt, and I was like, I want to beat these people. I want to be really good. I want to prove to myself that I can get good at a fighting game, because that is the one thing that I haven't really done before. And I know that's kind of like that sounds a little sad, but it is true. Like I was always always a
Mhm.
casual player. When I was playing Dragon Ball Fighters, when I was playing, Guilty Gear, I took it a little seriously, but I realized it just wasn't my game. So I stopped that. KOF, kind of the same thing with Guilty Gear. So now I was just like, I can really buckle down and learn what fighting games are about, because I wanted to walk the walk, but I did not have the talk. I did not go through the journey that is a fighting game ranked session and all the ups and downs of what that's like, right?
Mhm.
So when I started that Street Fighter journey, I was like, cool. Bronze to silver in Street Fighter. Actually, let's start at a rookie, right? Because when you load up the game for the first time, and if you've never played ranked before, you're rookie rank. Your number one thing at rookie is just learn what the buttons do. That's all you need to know. Nothing else. And when you play, you can get out of rookie. That's it. Like just learn the buttons. And that's what I did, right?
Mhm.
Bronze to silver. That journey alone may seem like a million years for someone that isn't used to fighting games, or someone that, maybe doesn't have like is super crazy passionate about fighting games. They might be hard stuck silver like for a while. As a matter of fact, I saw a Twitter post recently saying that there was this guy and he was in silver for 5 years and he finally made it to gold. Finally, after 5 years, right? And I'm like, go you, dude. Like, that's fantastic. Not a lot of people have like the constitution to do that. So, kudos to that guy specifically. But this is
I got a
like,
point I want to make on that when you're done with this.
yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So bronze and silver is basically just focusing on execution.
Mhm.
It's just like, can you perform the moves in a sequence? AKA, can you do a 3-hit combo?
Yeah.
Can you do a 3-hit
Boom,
combo?
boom. Yeah.
Can you throw a Hadouken? Can you anti-air? You're going to hear that constantly. Can you anti-air? Can you anti-air? Can you anti-air? Because in the beginner, like sort of lobbies and beginner ranks, a lot of people like to jump. And
Mhm.
in Street Fighter, for the fantastic ground-based footsies that it's known for, um, you know, jumping is kind of frowned upon in early ranks because it's sort of just like an auto neutral. Like, oh, I'm in. Cool.
Mhm.
And once you stop that, usually the opponent that's jumping constantly crumbles. They just don't know what to do and they just
Yeah.
freak out and start throwing stuff, right? That's kind of bronze to silver, right? You said you wanted to say something specifically about the
Yeah,
silver
it's
guy?
like, oh well, you made the comment about the guy that finally got to gold. When
Hmm.
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate came out, with the whole drama with the GSP and everything, and there were just nothing but people crying they couldn't get into Elite Smash. And this is with me saying I was only able to get into Elite Smash with like a couple characters, and that was it because I just played them constantly. But
Hmm.
I remember seeing a quote that really stuck with me: "Is not everyone is meant to get into Elite." And that stuck with me because that guy stuck with it to make that threshold. I mean, he had a goal. He wanted to get to a certain point where he was good enough to be in gold, which is in the same concept of Smash. People are just trying to be good enough to get into Elite Smash, which I think is a very interesting take, which is a topic I want to talk about with you a little when we're over this. But it's like, I know I would be struggling pretty hard with Street Fighter's rank system. The rank system in like other fighting games are pretty poor. Like so it's
More or less, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of hard to like compare, but yeah, that's just one I wanted to say. It's certain fighting games, especially with Street Fighter, I think did a pretty good job making people grind it out, and you get to watch people grow
Oh,
and get better.
such a grind.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that complaint in a second as well. We'll put a pin on that for
Okay.
now.
Okay.
I'll
For
put a
sure.
pin on yours. You put a pin on mine.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll get to those in a second. But
Jotting it
once
down now.
Yeah. Once you hit gold, you hit the point of no return. And I call it that because there is a very, very, very inevitable fact that you're going to learn. This happens to you either during the beginning of gold or at the very tail end of gold. And it's simple. you're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. Like, you're not good at the game. You don't know what you're doing. And admittingly, you kind of suck. You do. And that's not necessarily to be like toxic or be like, like, you have no idea. Of course you do. You got to gold, and that's fantastic. That's a milestone that not a lot of players do. 90% of the player base for Street Fighter V is in rookie or bronze. If you are in, I think, plat or diamond, you are in the top 1% of players in the entire game.
Yeah. Isn't it true that like some pro players are not even in platinum? Isn't that true? Like there's even pro players because they just didn't put in the effort to get there.
Maybe not like they're probably like in diamond, but not like ultra grandmaster, anything like that.
Yeah.
I think after and we'll get to diamond as well, because diamond is like my goal personally. It's also sort of like the threshold where it's like, okay, you are amongst like the 1%. Like you're here, like welcome, right? It's like getting celestial and strive or something like that. It's not necessarily an equal achievement, but it's sort of on the same, like, I guess, principle, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I guess, upper echelon player in that sense. Now, for gold and plat specifically, you're not that guy. And you're going to have to learn that you're not that guy. And that was a very tough inner battle for me to fight. Gonna be honest, I had an ego.
Okay.
Because I was kicking people's butts in silver and bronze, and it was free. I was like, let's go. I'm the best. Obviously, I played fighting games before, so like I know what I'm doing. I know how to anti-air. But now this is where you start getting hit with game-specific knowledge. You need to know how many frames you can react with in a certain scenario. Now you need to start looking at numbers. You need to start looking at not just your numbers, but your opponent's numbers. Oh, you didn't know that you could 3-frame jab Bison's, like, I don't know, scissor kick? If you didn't know that, you're stunk in infinite pressure, buddy. Like, you got to hold that pressure. Stuff like that, when you start to realize, like, oh, wow, okay, I need to learn this game. It's no longer me winging it and me, like, learning my character. I need to learn my character and this game. And when I mean this game specifically, I mean footsies and also what the opponent can do. Because what the opponent can do, and obviously in every fighting game, it's super important. But in Street Fighter, that's where I learned, like, you need to keep track of what your opponent's doing, not necessarily what you're doing, because you can autopilot your stuff. Once you get to a certain level of, like, I guess, comfortableness, you can start autopiloting the combos that took you mental effort to do in bronze and silver, right? So now it's about watching this guy. And this guy wants you dead. This guy wants to beat you up. He wants to call you names. He wants you to rage quit. So after a while, I started to realize I'm done learning Karin. I don't need to learn Karin anymore. At least not as much as I used to, right? Now I need to learn what the opponent's doing. And that was a really tough, like, I guess, thing for me to realize, because at first it was like, you immediately, when you lose, you go to yourself most of the time, right? You're like, oh, what did I do wrong? Unless if, like, you're like, oh, that was BS, like what he did or whatever. 9 times out of 10, you're usually like, what did I do wrong? Oh, did I not do that combo correctly? Did I not do this? Did I not do that? When you start to realize that, like, yeah, it was you, but it wasn't your character. It was your opponent and just you not knowing what to do. That's when you need to hit the lab, and that's when you need to sort of practice, right? And, you can still get away with some cheeky stuff at gold, but at platinum, all the gimmicky stuff, like the little mix that no one knows about, people know now. So, like, I wasn't getting rounds. I wasn't ending games or rounds with an overhead that people weren't looking for because they never seen it before. People have been like, I've seen that overhead before. I'm blocking that. Like, that is the best characteristic. That is the best way I can describe, like, sort of that climb from, like, gold to plat. It's just like, people know stuff. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a little rough. You can still sort of play off of instinct and sort of like react to things and become a reactionary player, which is like something that, I tend to do. I tend to react to things more than like be proactive and double dash in someone's face and, do like a a grab just straight off the round. Like I wouldn't do that. I would wait for my opponent to make a mistake, right? So that's where I'm at right now. I'm still learning the game. I'm still learning Street Fighter, and I have probably an absurd amount of hours in Street Fighter.
Mhm. So it's actually, you made a point to me that actually is very interesting when you said that like you know Corinne, right? Like, you know Corinne all the way. Like I like to compare this to like me with playing Enchantress or Cheetah when I'm playing Injustice. I know her combos. Like I know, like I just wait for my opponent to mess up, and then I do that one combo chain that's like, it's like a 25 hit combo, so it deals like max damage, and I just wait till I get, as long as I have a bar, I know I'll gain another bar and it's worth 2, and I know I'm gonna shred 45 damage if they mess up. Like, right, like I just fish for that, and I'm just sitting there waiting until they make the mistake. Is it something like that? Because like most of my gameplay, like with most games, is like I just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna keep on shooting for resets then, because I just know that they're not gonna fall for my gimmicks anymore. Is that what it's at now, where like you just have to keep on, like, is that where it is at that level? Because like I know with like when I'm playing like Injustice, an example, like I will, if my opponent's not gonna like fall for me that one combo anymore, like they know that one combo starts with an overhead, if they know it's not gonna fall there, they're just gonna wait for me to mess up. You just keep on resetting neutral over and over and over and over again to in little tick damage? Is that where you're going at, like just sweeps and then run away? Is that where it's at? Or
Well, sort of there's, you're pretty much there. When it comes to like the thought process, Phil, where it's like, what I meant more specifically is stop thinking about what you're doing, like your mastery of the character. You need to start thinking in terms of what can my character do versus that character.
sure.
So now you start thinking about matchups. That's something I should have just said, right? We always, this is the thing about the fighting games, we always have lingo for everything. Matchups.
Yeah.
It's all about matchups, right? Where it's like, yeah, sure, you could do resets and you can do, and that's arguably what I do. Corinne is a very neutral focused character. Like that's what I usually like, is like these characters with ridiculous buttons. And so, yeah, resetting neutral for me can be an advantageous situation depending on the matchup.
Sure.
If I'm fighting a Kage is going to be free. Like I'm just going to like stand back, wait for you to do standing fierce, and then I'm going to whiff punish, right? The mastery of the character can still, like Corinne's mastery is more so like whiff punishing and like one hit confirms. Very sort of high reactionary gameplay that you need to like be really twitchy about. I haven't necessarily mastered that. I can't really say I have, and it's hard to do that at a consistent level, right? But I've gotten to the point where I can consistently get damage on the board. Now it's more so thinking of what can my opponent do to stop Corinne? Can my opponent just keep pressing this button and like just keep stuffing the normal that I usually like to use? Now I have to find a different button that might not work for other characters, but works against this character, right? And that's where you start just sort of like framing sort of the idea, and you start calculating what your opponent do almost more than what you can do, because you've already achieved mastery and autopilot of your character, and you understand, okay, if I get this hit, I can do an EX Tenko combo that's going to take 30, right? Right now, all I need to do is focus on what the hell my opponent's doing. Are they going to pop V trigger? And now I have to play this little mini game and guess for my life.
You've definitely been very vocal to me about your opinion on V triggers.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Actually, let's talk about that now. V trigger, as much as, listen, I'm going to say this now. It's going to sound like a scrub quote, but I will explain myself. V trigger is one of the worst comeback mechanics I've ever experienced in a fighting game. Absolutely terrible, terrible idea. Now, a lot of people get angry at comeback mechanics, and I'm going to be honest, the better player always wins. And if the better player always wins, the comeback mechanic is probably not that severe. As a matter of fact, it's probably not really a big deal, because the pro players, the people that are actually winning, are going to put something like V-Trigger into account when they're playing a match. Obvious, right? What I don't like about V-Trigger is that A, it's a resource that you get for getting hit. you cannot have V trigger unless if you've gotten hit. Okay, there's very circumstantial things where it's like, oh, you could get V meter from like doing a V skill, but it's like a teeny a bit. It's probably like maybe enough for a reversal, but
Mhm.
not enough for like a full V trigger like activation, right?
Yeah.
But so you're rewarding players that are losing, which is fine. That's what a comeback mechanic is. But what you've done is you've unlocked certain character iconic moves, right? Like what is Bison's move? Psycho Crusher? Is that the one where he spins around?
I believe so. Yes. I could
That's a
be
V
wrong.
trigger move.
Hmm.
He doesn't have that move in his normal move set. He doesn't. It's a V trigger move. And like it's just like why would you lock moves away under a resource that made these characters iconic? And now it's like basically another thing you just have to learn. You know, it's you just got to learn the matchup and be a nerd and study and be like, okay, this is what happens when Blanca activates V trigger and he goes into Blanca ball. He can mix me up this way and that way. And you know, you still have to learn. I'm not saying that, you know, V trigger is applied amongst the worlds, but I just don't like the design of it. I understand that there is sort of like resource management when it comes to V shift, V reversal, and V trigger, and you're giving away your options for defensive mechanics in order to sort of buff your character up with basically an install. But for sometimes, like the V triggers are just not designed well. They're not well balanced. They don't sometimes they don't even complement the character.
I
Uh,
have heard a lot of complaints about certain characters with V triggers are just a waste. It does nothing for them, and like I
Karen
that
doesn't have a V trigger. She doesn't.
yeah
All of
like
her V triggers are just gimmicks, and people never use them.
this is something that like it, it's a party game. You know, that's that term that everyone loves to say. Like
Yeah.
in certain aspects, I understand that like complaint. And I like if compared to like Smash, the Smash Ball effect. Like that's it completely just breaks the core concept of a competitive game, and it doesn't make things fun. What it does is it proves that there's extremely poor balancing in a game, and that's why they add those things in, because it's easier to put in something busted and blame the one mechanic than blame the balance of a game. Like if you look at like certain a good example is like in Smash Brothers Brawl, Sonic's super, or it just you were able to get 3 kills almost guaranteed off of a move, while like Peaches puts them to sleep, and you can obviously probably combo someone very well right after that, but that's one. You know what I mean? Like it gets really, it's unfair when
Sure.
these like big over the top things are. Would you rather it go back to things like Third Strike in that aspect, where there's like no V trigger, no special things added, where it's very bare
Well,
bones and that's it?
here's the
Or
here's the thing, right? When it comes to Street Fighter 6, this is why I like Street Fighter 6 conceptually so far,
mm-hmm,
because everyone has the resource round start,
mm-hmm.
right? If you're going to have V trigger, I would rather have you start with V trigger round start.
Okay.
Then you make the decision. Okay, it's kind of like a sparking burst in Dragon Ball. You get to use it whenever you want in the match. You only get one though.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You only get one, but you get to use it whenever. You want to save your point, you want to save your mid, use it. Go for it. If you just got a happy birthday, and if you are not like absolutely certain that you are going to confirm into a kill, spark and just reset, and then boom. It's like literally a ground ball. Like
Yeah.
you have the happy birthday.
Yeah.
Decision making, Phil. Resource management and decision making. Round start in Street Fighter 6, you can decide straight up to go into parry stance, drive rush, do an overhead, and like do some crazy stuff into an EX move. Something crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Right? Or you can just like there's player expression, there's player style there. Because like you have a meter, you get at round start, and you have different options you can use. They
Sure.
give you options, right? As opposed to just like, okay, here's this sort of like you get 2 defensive mechanics, and then you get an install that probably gives you more damage. Choose which one. And like even then, certain V triggers are just like certain characters are like sort of invalidated by that. Where it's like, I mean, Corinne's a great example. Like you do see it used in high level play occasionally because people know how to confirm it into like mad damage, but that's more of like that's more of like a confidence situation, knowing like I'm gonna get the maximum amount of damage. I know I'm gonna do this. It's not like a guarantee that you're
Mhm.
going to get that damage, because her Rekka is like, I guess on paper supposed to be a mix-up tool because she has like a low, like a high. She has a command grab, a cross up. So when you look at it on paper, you're like, oh wow, so this is like a mix-up tool. Wrong. It is only to get a couple of extra damage off of your BNB. That's all you can use it for, because if you use it for anything else, you're going to get jab punished, you're going to get supered in the face. It's not going to end well for you, basically.
Mhm.
Right? So it's just like the character balance. So like here's the thing I disagree with you about though. When it comes to Smash specifically, I don't know if character balance is the first thing they're thinking about when they're thinking of like those, like the Smash Ball, like the ultimate moves or super
Mhm.
moves. Because more so, I feel like it's more so just like, here's like an homage to this character. Here's something cool that only this character can do. Like for instance, like Mega Man, super fighting robot, right?
Mhm.
Where he gets all of the Mega Mans all
Yeah.
together and like
Super
shoot.
dope. Yeah.
Godlike, love that super.
Mhm.
Like that's what I want to see from Smash. I don't know if they necessarily thought, if we gave Mega Man a vacuum and like maybe he could get a multi-kill, but we need to make sure that they can only kill at like 85. Like, no, I don't know if they're thinking that like deeply into it. I
Sure.
could be wrong. I could be.
I just feel like I guess that my point that I was trying to make is just there's complete unbalance there. Certain ones are really good, and it's actually like if you're facing a Sonic and the Sonic is winning and they get the Smash Ball, you just lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
However,
for
if
sure.
you got Donkey Kong's at the time, which was one of the worst in the game, it did nothing. It was worthless to go after, is what I mean. It's like certain, like for you, it sounds like using your V trigger is just not worth it. While some other ones, like I personally know with camis, it's 100% worth using camis because it's really good. You can do the cross ups and stuff. So like in that aspect, it's very useful. So like I feel like the balancing for specialty or like I don't want to say it's a super move. V triggers are not a super move, but you know what I mean. It is. It's a little bit unfair when you have those very unbalanced.
I think it's just not good game design. Because back to Street Fighter 6, you look at that, everyone has the same options and they can express themselves how they want from the beginning of the round. Nothing is locked behind some sort of meter or anything like that, unless if it's a super, which fighting games have established at this point. You get meter, you could do a big special move. That's how it works.
That's not going anywhere. Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to complain about super move. Well, I mean, I'm sure they did, but you know what I mean? Like it's a staple. You know, some Street Fighter like to whenever like was it Turbo or I forgot the one that added, was it Super Street Fighter 2?
I think so. I know bare minimum the last one had it. So
yeah, I bet you they were like, this is BS. Like you're, first of all, they don't even want you to grab them. Okay, arcade rules are weird, and now you're adding supers to the game. That probably broke their minds. Are you kidding me?
No grabs allowed. Like Zangief was just not allowed to be used.
yeah. When you were dizzied, you couldn't punish them. You had to wait for them to get back to normal so that way you could play the match and proceed.
Now like in a tournament now when we see someone actually get dizzy, it's the most hype shit ever because it's like, oh, this is gonna be brutal. Like I love seeing that stuff.
That's Tokido and Punk when Tokido does the Raging Demon.
Yeah.
Evo 2017. Like that was hype. Punk was stunned. Tokido activated V-Trigger and specifically did a Raging Demon to end the round. Fantastic. Love it.
That's really good. Really good stuff. So on your journey to platinum, have you reached it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in like super or ultra plat right now, actually.
Oh, I mean, I guess diamond is what I was saying. Like you're trying to
diamond.
Yeah.
No, I haven't reached it yet. I haven't reached.
Nah, I'm good.
I've taken a very extended break from Street Fighter because I was genuinely very sort of like burnt out by it. I was because I was so focused on like results. So whenever I lost, it was heartbreaking.
Sure.
Because with Street Fighter 5, if you lose like a certain allotted amount. You have a deficit now that you lost. It's not necessarily like, oh, I can get those points back easily. It's like, no, I need to go on a win streak to make up for the fact that I lost a certain amount of times. Because it's brutal. And especially if you get matched with someone below your rank, you're losing almost 100 LP. You're losing like 87 LP per loss. And that's devastating for someone so close, can literally taste ultra platinum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get sent back all the way back to like regular plat because of that. And it's just very demoralizing because it's like you just need to have a win streak to get like ahead or to feel like you've made progress in the ranking system, even though mathematically you are, just by very small margins, like 20 LP per set. If you win, even if you lose a match, you're going to get like 20 LP, but that's tiny when like the goal is to reach like 14K.
Yeah.
Like, how many sets do you have to play? It's just a grind, man. Like, it's a grind. And I understand why people that do get to diamond don't touch ranked again. Or if they do, they don't take it seriously. Or it's not like a big deal to them. Because it's like, once you hit diamond, you're fighting diamond all the way up to like ultra grandmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's just like...
Do you... I forgive me because I've never really messed with ranked and really anything outside of Tekken. Can you get knocked down after you reach a... Oh, yeah. So outside of Tekken, I remember whenever I saw that rank, D rank, I was like dying inside because I remember like I was pretty decent in Tekken like 5 and Tekken 6. I used to play pretty regularly online with that horrible netcode. But I remember whenever I saw the demotion or promotion thing come up, my heart sank. I was like, ooh.
I would die inside. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, it's brutal, dude. It's absolutely brutal. Also, very excited for Tekken 8 to start grinding that. Very excited for that. But I gotta ask you, what do you think about the matchmaking system? Do you feel when you're playing Street Fighter that you are being matched up with people that are someone you should be facing, or do you think they do a pretty decent job with that?
I think they do.
Okay.
I mean, they give you like a bit of a range, and depending on how well they're doing, they might fight. Like if you're on a win streak, you might be fighting like someone 2 ranks above you.
Really?
Right?
Oof.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they're actively assessing how you're doing during the ranked session, and they're like, okay, this guy's losing a bunch. Let's not throw like the diamond player his way. Maybe we'll give him a ground ball, give him like a ultra gold player or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird, but I mean that's just sort of how it works. I think it's good personally. There's definitely people I fought where I was like, you do not belong in this rank.
Like on both sides, I'm assuming, like someone
On
that's
both sides.
Yeah.
Someone that's really good and someone that's really like not, like proficient with their character yet. Yeah.
I always felt really bad about that. Like back in the day, like I remember there, especially like in Smash or in Tekken, like if there's someone that just like has nothing and you get that perfect on them, like round 1, you're like, oh, this isn't going to go well for you for the rest of the matches.
You stop playing Street Fighter when they start like jumping and they won't stop. That's my number one tell. My number one tell, if it's like, if I keep anti-airing you and you don't stop jumping, I can just turn my brain off.
That should be a shirt. Why you jumping, bro?
Yeah,
Why you jumping?
I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna anti-air you here. Are you gonna not jump? Or are you gonna dash up instead? No, he jumped.
Yep.
Okay.
You dash up and sweep them.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking about skill-based matching, or matchmaking is because that's kind of a big topic right now. Not just for fighting games, honestly, all games. Skill-based matchmaking is kind of a big hot topic right now. I know you're also kind of a Call of Duty head like me, and it's coming out tomorrow, which I will probably be jumping on board when that hits. But some of the complaints I hear about skill-based matchmaking, you can tell it's a very genre-based issue because it's not really an issue in fighting games. I rarely, if ever, have a problem with who I'm facing in fighting games. There have been a couple times, especially like when like I just like loaded up like maybe Injustice or Tekken. There might be a Twink account out there where it's someone who's like a pro or like someone very good is just trying starting a new account somewhere else for like a different system or something. That might become a problem. But like I don't see the issue at all. Like in every argument I've ever heard is always a scrub quote. Like it's never not. And it's like, I'm just curious, what's your take on like skill-based matchmaking? What's your thoughts on it? Well,
my honest thoughts are that you need to get good. Those are my honest thoughts. But if you want a more nuanced and like weird and nerdy take,
sure,
I get it. Okay. not everyone has the time to sweat and play for 8 hours a day. And sometimes you just want to have a cold one and play Modern Warfare 2 with the boys, and you don't want to play all sweaty and stuff like that. I understand. That's fine. Okay.
I think that is the no. I don't accept that.
I understand.
I don't get that, because you are
gaming's a leisurely activity, Phil.
Oh no, I get that, but the term sweaty should not be used. I am sorry, when I am playing, I can't tell the difference from when I'm trying really hard and not trying really hard. I'm just playing. When people say sweaty, I just feel that is just a code word for the people that are better than me, is what sweaty means. And I'm so sick of people using that term. It is exhausting. I don't want to hear it anymore. And that is why I think it's a squab crow, because like I don't hear anyone like come out and say this. I'll give one thing when it comes to skill-based matchmaking, or any people that complain about this. It is simply about how you how it's choosing who you're connecting with for lag and like connection reasons. I can understand that being an issue. That is the one and only reason. And the whole Twink account thing is bullshit. Don't care. I don't care what anyone has to say about that. That's a really stupid excuse. But when people say I don't need to play a bunch of sweaties, you mean the people that are just better than you? I'm so sick and tired of it, because people that are above casual, and I have a bunch of friends that have this argument that people that are a little bit better than me and my group of friends that are good enough where they're being put in lobbies where they're losing. You do realize when I join the lobby with you, bud, I lose immediately. I'm getting like 7 kills and you're getting 30 because you're still better. They don't like that they can't just mow down noobs. And like, it's very frustrating to hear, especially coming from a fighting game perspective. Because as you know, we kind of every now and then want to face people that are a little not completely better than us, but that we want to face the sweaties to see our skill level. You want to know where you're at. And it's like all I can hear when I hear these people complaining about it, it just sounds like they're just whining. It just sounds like whining to me. And I never will understand it, especially when it coming from like a fighting game perspective. It sounds like you're being a scrub. You're being a noob. Like, don't be that guy.
I think that's where you're getting that sort of sentiment from, because fighting games, as much as like fighting games are very result based.
Yeah.
You win or you lose. And also you're this rank or you're not. Mm-hmm. Right? There are certain people that can play fighting games non-competitively, and they just like doing Hadoukens, and they like throwing gun flames around, and that's sick. I envy you. I wish I was you. But I just like I want to put this correctly, because we are looking at it from a fighting game lens. And I know my light just got very intense here.
It did.
So I'm
my
trying
eyes
to make a very important point.
Yeah.
Because we are coming from a fighting game sort of point of view, it's very, very, very important to see the fact that fighting games are way more results based than necessarily a game like Call of Duty, because FPSs are. You have your Valorants, you have your CSGOs, you have your Apex Legends that are very, very much so displays of skill and very, very, very much results based. And people get really angry at you on those games coming from experience if you tank the team or if you do something wrong and you lose. They want to win in those games. Call of Duty, for some reason, is one of the franchises. I think Battlefield's included in this discussion as well. But Call of Duty is
that a game still?
Yeah, no, that's who? No. But like, for some reason, their community isn't as results based. I played MLG matches and like Black Ops 2. I was on the MLG website. I had a team of people in high school that I would literally get on daily after school, or I guess, during the weekends. And I would be like, yo guys, let's go fight like Optic team or like whatever. It wasn't Optic, but I'm just using that as a placeholder. We would fight other teams of other similar skills with an elo level, but that was way back then when Call of Duty didn't really have like a robust ranked system. So we had to use MLG, because MLG was like, we want to prove ourselves, we're nice at this game. And I don't know how, for some reason, And maybe that's just because of how successful Call of Duty is. Not everyone is geared to think like that, I guess.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
that's the only
here's
way I can think about it.
the other thing that I think is hilarious, because like read down like what skill-based matchmaking was and everything that it does. The people that like these people like, I don't want to go have to sweat and lose a bunch. I'm like, well, here's the thing.
That's a scrub quote. Yeah.
Yeah, if you lose enough, you're gonna be put in a lobby where you're better than everyone else.
Thank you.
And then like that, like this is once again coming from the lens of a fighting game player. Like if I lose a couple times and I go, I'm gonna meet someone that's either even with me or I'm gonna be better than them and I'm going to stomp them. Like the idea that you're always just gonna be great is outrageous. Like
and there's the dilemma that we're constantly facing in fighting games. There are people, I'm one of those guys, by the way,
okay,
that didn't want to play Tekken 7 ranked for the longest time because I was like, well, everyone's just gonna beat me. Like I'm just gonna I'm not gonna learn. I'm just gonna lose a bunch, and it's not gonna be fun because I don't know what I'm doing. Lo and behold, you hop on Tekken and there's people my rank, and you're like, whoa, there's people that are new to this game too. That's crazy. Any game that's supported, any game that is currently not a Discord fighter. Okay, I use that term jokingly, sort of.
I have a whole take on that. I think Discord, we are in the best time for fighting games because of Discord fighters. I think
we sort of are. We really are. But the whole that whole thing of mentality, I'm starting to realize it's crumbling on my eyes, like right in front of me. I'm starting to realize, oh snap, you could just play whatever you want. There's people that are new that are going to be interested in the same things that you are, and you just need to find those people. And you don't need to find them in Call of Duty. There's millions of them. Millions of them.
And also, like, skill-based matchmaking is in everything. It's in League of Legends. It's in Overwatch. It's in Hearthstone. Like, it's in everything. And, like, this idea that you always need to win, you're like, if you're also taking things so seriously that you have to win so much, like, you're missing the point of what it's supposed to be. These games are supposed to be recreational. And if you're those guys, I just want to relax, then you should be playing something that's going to make you relax, not a game that's going to get you angry. Like, I don't know, like just the argument.
Call of Duty has single player modes for that reason. Like they have Spec Ops stuff, they have the campaign, all that stuff, right? So like, even if you wanted to play Call of Duty but didn't want to sweat, there are options, right?
Yeah. But they don't want those options. And people that want to be really good, no one wants to go touch the ranked mode, which like this time around, like I actually have a bunch of guys from work that all of us are getting it. And we already are talking about like, we're going to be the USPS and we're all going to go, we're all going to be team USPS and we're going to start playing. We're all very excited to do that. But like, we know, like myself and one of the other guys, we're the bottom of the barrel. We're the worst in the group. We know we are, but me and him have the most fun because as long as I get a couple kills, I'm happy. I'm going to be drinking my White Claw and he's going to be drinking his whiskey and we're going to be having a good old time while the guy who's going to be the best in the game is going to be losing his mind because he needs to win every match. In my opinion, he's not really having fun. I am. So like, I guess that's
kind of true.
I guess, of course, this is all from a certain lens. Everyone has their own opinion and take of what they enjoy. But like, I guess my point that I was trying to get at from when I asked you this question is I just feel this argument is a very genre specific thing because like from a fighting game,
I would even say game specific. I would say this is really only really brought up during Call of Duty.
Yeah. And
I don't think,
I guess we even go to a mode specific because it's more of an argument for Warzone and literally only Warzone 2. Like, I don't remember skill-based matchmaking being a thing until Warzone came out and the argument coming out and all the big streamers are crying because they're losing and they need the views.
They need the clips.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
my question to all of those people, I asked this to all the Call of Duty people in the world, right? I'm not one of those guys, so I can't claim that. I can't claim that community. I can't be like, I know what I'm talking about. This is from a fighting game player. What are you afraid of? That's it. What are you afraid of? Are you like, what is the deal? Why can't you play a skill-based matchmaking? Mm-hmm. It's in every other game that's online and semi-competitive. I understand if that's not your cup of tea, but I mean, there's a lot of games out there, guys. Like,
Yeah.
don't necessarily
It's
need
like
to be.
I think that the big thing with Call of Duty, and like I do get that, where like it's the biggest like shooter, like it is the king, like it dethroned Halo decade ago, like it is the big game, you know what I mean? So I guess there is that argument to an extent, but it's still so hard for me to like wrap my head around it, because like how are you gonna get any better, like if you don't face people that are like better than you? Like I just and it comes of course from the lens of a fighting game fan, but I also, to all the people in Call of Duty out there that like will fight, give me points, I will counter every single one of them because it doesn't make sense to me, and it never will. It never will, Lumi.
Yeah. I mean, even if they just separate unranked and ranked, I think that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're complaining because skill-based matchmaking is in the unranked mode,
Mhm.
and not in the ranked mode, which I genuinely do understand that like kind of thing. But if it helps with like matchmaking or anything like that, like because at the end of the day, you do realize they're all about profits, and Call of Duty has literally been proven to give players that are new or that are doing bad advantages over players that are doing well.
Yeah. 100%. I 100%,
They've been
and it makes
caught
sense.
red-handed. So
all of these like so-called I need a break, I just want to do this to like, just because I'm good, it shouldn't be my fault that I have to try hard, which is, take some pride, man. Like, what are you doing? And it makes
the challenge.
Like, oh my god, suck it up. I don't know what to do. Oh my god, it bothers me. Let's move on, Lumi, because I'm getting heated. Yeah. Next year, what's on your docket for tournaments? Where are you going? Where are you planning on going next year for big tournaments next year? Do you have any outside of locals and stuff? What do you plan on doing next year?
Well, I need to find a local, so that's number one.
Okay.
So the only local I have is in I don't want to say the exact name, but the local that I have is a Smash local.
Okay.
A very good friend of mine from high school took me there because he's like, "You're into fighting games. They're doing a Strive thing there. Would you like to go?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" That was my first like local experience. It was fantastic, and I loved it. But it was like four of us in a corner playing Strive, while everyone else was running around, and
playing Smash.
I could just feel, I could just feel separated. It didn't feel like,
That's a topic for a different podcast, but man, is there a difference between those communities?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely not qualified to have that discussion. But
I think I know who I'm going to bring on and have that discussion with.
Yeah,
I have to bring someone back on the podcast again. Me and him can have a nice conversation. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Good old T-Grass. Okay, so while we're on the topic, because I didn't realize, dude, we're flying right now. We're already at 56 minutes into this podcast.
Oh yeah, do you just tournaments like real quick?
Yeah, well, the question I gave you before, if you could run a tournament, what tournaments are you going to next year? Let's do that. What tournaments are you planning on going to next year?
Evo for sure. Evo 2023. Lumi will be there. It's happening. Okay. I will find a way. Even if I have to walk there, I'll find a way.
Okay.
We're going. Combo Breaker 2023 as well. Definitely plan on going. Those are my two big ones.
Okay.
Outside of that, can't guarantee anything else. But, I mean, East Coast Throwdown's right there. Mm-hmm. So, 2023, I could go there. Not really interested, unfortunately, in Frosty. I know that's a big, like, anime, Guilty Gear, major. Going all the way to Chicago for that isn't necessarily something I'm, like, super interested in. However, depending on where it's being taken place or anything like that, I wouldn't mind visiting Florida
for CEO.
Going to CEO, yeah.
Okay.
At some point in the future, maybe not 2023, but perhaps 2024, depending on how things go.
I'm actually extremely fortunate for next year, where I'm going to actually be assisted to go to some of these things, because I'm going to be promoting the game that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But I will be traveling to at least 4 events next year, and that is probably CEO, Evo, Combo Breaker, and ECT again, because ECT will be going every year, because there's no excuse not to go there, since it's only like 2.5 hours away, and I can literally pick you up on the way. So it's
true.
But the main thing, the reason I want to ask is because it's going to be starting from now on going forward for anyone that I bring on this podcast again, it's my new question. Is I always ask, what does the FGC stand mean to you? Which is kind of like my question I had all of last year when I started this podcast. Going into next year, for anyone that I recycle and bring on the podcast, my new question is going to be, if you could run a tournament, what games would you run?
If I could run a tournament, like a major, like multiple games? Okay. So, I mean, we got to do the big three.
Okay. Makes fair and sense.
We got to do the big three. So, excuse me. I'm thinking Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, and hold on, my voice.
You all right there, dude?
Just went out. This question's too much, man. You're asking too much out of me. Okay, I apologize, guys.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, so Street Fighter, whatever Street Fighter is out, Street Fighter 6 preferably. Guilty Gear, King of Fighters, those three representations is always like, you know, those are the numbers, like big stuff.
You said big three, and my brain is exploding right now because my big three is Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and Street Fighter, and you didn't name two of the three. And now I'm like, what do you mean big three?
Sorry, the big three that are out right now.
Okay.
Tekken as well. Tekken needs to be there.
Yeah.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Okay, MVC2.
MVC2 only because that's how I was reintroduced back into fighting games, was just like watching MVC2 stuff. And like watching like IFC Yipes' like podcasts with like Chris Matrix, and learning like the lore of MVC2 in New York in like the 90s, and like it's a fantastic listen, and it's just like I like that community. That community is cool. I want to see that played at a high level live on a stage. I need to see that.
Okay.
Right. And maybe some Third Strike as well, because like Third Strike is always very fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring answers, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not like
but those are the games, those are, I'm assuming, the games you have played and enjoyed though, correct?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Mine, like this is why I'm asking this question, because I think everyone's answer is gonna be slightly different, and like I know mine would probably not have a big following. Like I would run games probably most people wouldn't really want to jump in on.
Bloody Roar on the big stage. It needs to be there.
Like there's a lot
That's my last game.
Okay, there's a lot of little small games out there that I think like don't get enough love. Like I probably would want to run like a Soul Calibur 2 bracket in mine, like stuff like smaller games that I know, like if you saw it, like the amount of people that played it as a kid would be like, yo. Same thing with Tekken 3. The amount of people that think they're godlike because they played Eddie Gordo in Tekken 3, like everyone's gonna go play that game. Like that kind of stuff runs through my mind, and I think it would be a lot of fun to see.
Replace Strive with Xrd.
You've been playing that recently, huh? Yeah, I've been seeing your Exard show up next to your name on Discord.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very fun. I'm having a blast with Xrd.
Yeah, so good stuff. I have been, the only fighting game I've really been messing is the game that I will be promoting officially, because I get to change my Twitter bio name in the beginning of this year, which I'm very excited about. Yes, but Lumi, thank you so much for being here, brother. Please let everyone know where they can follow you right now. Sure,
yeah. So you can follow me on anything if you just look up Lumi FGC. I'll be the first one that shows up. YouTube, I'll be on Twitter at Mage Lumi. On TikTok, Lumi FGC, Luminous FGC. And that's pretty much the only platforms I'm on. Those are like the big three that I'm on currently. So yeah, look me up there. That's where the bulk of my content is, and you know, of course, just follow your boy.
Sounds like a plan. All right, Lumi, once again, thank you for being here, and don't worry, I'll get you back. You're going to be my guy on this podcast that I bring back like quarterly to make sure you're doing all right, and we'll watch each other grow together.
I can't wait for my beard to just grow into like a wizard status at the end of the whatever this podcast becomes.
When you're gonna be my benchmark for all of them. You'll be 100. You'll be like 1,000. You're gonna be there for all of them, Lumi.
I can't wait, dude. I'm excited.
Good stuff. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.